Hi, it's Caitlin from Caitlin Swatches, and I'm here today with the new Holo Taco Pastel and Don't Tell cream set. There are new 6 pastel creams. They're all kind of your run-of-the-mill pastel colors for spring. There's nothing groundbreaking here. And in terms of the formula, I guess I'll let you be the judge, but I'm going to do some comparisons after I swatch the Holo Taco polishes with my other favorite cream brands, and you can hopefully be the judge and see which formula you think is best. When it comes to pastels, obviously the formula is important because they can sometimes be patchy or need too many coats to build up. So if you are interested in buying these Holo Tacos, you can buy them now on the Holo Taco website. These pastels are $12 US each, which is kind of the standard price now for indie or high-end boutique cream polishes. It's not cheap. Everything in this world is getting so freaking expensive. But yeah, let's just get into the nail polish.
Let's start with Rust in Peach, and this one is obviously a peach pastel cream. And as like all other Holo Taco creams, as far as I know, this does come with their paddle brush. It's standard with the cream, so you don't have to buy it extra. And I do appreciate the paddle brush, but if you notice, it's not totally rounded. And if you watch my other swatch videos, you'll see that most other brands that use paddle brushes have like a really even, perfectly round edge, but this one is not. I don't know if it was defective with some of my polishes, but it wasn't as perfectly rounded as I'd hoped. It was kind of jagged in some places, but it still did the job. And as you can see, the polish goes on relatively well on the first coat, but it didn't totally self-level. So I'm applying a second coat, and I'm using my Cuticula Limitless top coat because I don't think I have any Holo Taco top coats, and this one is my favorite. So this top coat does a really good job of plumping out the polish and just making everything smooth, even when application isn't totally perfect. And honestly, if I was being super picky, I would say that the Rust in Peach needs 3 coats to be totally opaque. I don't know if you can tell, but on my second finger there, you can see some darker spots where it didn't fully cover. So just be really careful with application. The next one is called Banana Medicine, which I really appreciate because I loved banana medicine when I was a kid. I think it's some sort of antibiotic, but I loved the taste of that as a kid, and this polish definitely brings back those memories. So I am also not using a base coat for any of my swatches. I never use a base coat, so just sort of gives a fair comparison if you want to go and watch any of my other videos to see how polishes apply. So as you can see, after that first coat, there's still those sort of patches, darker patches where the polish didn't cover completely. So my recommendation is to do a really thick second coat if you want to avoid a third, or apply the polish in 3 coats, because as you can see on my index finger, there are some dark spots where it didn't fully cover, and it just didn't fully self-level here. As you can see, well, my fingers just disappeared, but here they're back. As you can see, there are some dark spots on both of my fingers where the polish didn't fully cover. So once again, with these 2 lighter polishes in particular, I would recommend 3 coats, or do 1 first coat and then a really thick second coat to get it totally covered. But I was just hoping that these creams would perform a little better than they did. They're not horrible, but I just was expecting a little bit better in terms of application. I really don't want to have to apply 3 coats when it comes to my cream polishes, so here it is in 2 coats, and you can still see some of those darker spots even after the top coat's been applied. Next up is Crime and Punishment, and this one is a really nice sort of minty mojito type green. It's a nice shade of green, and there are comparisons coming at the end of my video, and I did not have a single cream in my collection that was similar to this green, and I will be the first to admit that I don't have a lot of polishes this color in my collection, so it's possibly why, but it might be a little more unique in terms of the polishes in this cream set. So as you can see, once again, it's definitely got some of those patches where it didn't cover after the first coat dries down, and I'm going in with a second coat, just the same kind of, this isn't a super thick coat, so once again, you might be best doing a really thick second coat or 3 coats if you want a totally perfect finish. As you can see here, the polish also doesn't fully self-level. If you can see what I mean on my second finger there, there's some spots where I went back, and generally speaking, if a polish is really good at self-leveling, it'll cover up any divots or imperfections in your application, but I didn't find these to be overly self-leveling. So again, be careful with your application and you should be good. But here again, if I'm being super picky, you can sort of see some darker spots where it didn't fully cover, and my lights are being generous and just covering that up. Moving along, we have Pinky Swear, which is a nice bright baby pink. And this one, I mean, I'm a sucker for pink, so I was happy to see this pink, but it's definitely not unique. I've got some comparisons towards the end of my video. And this one, I found it might have been like a touch watery in comparison to the other polishes, which was interesting. Maybe that was the intention, to sort of have a thinner formula, because light pinks are notoriously difficult to get perfect. So I'm not sure, but again, here you can sort of see I wasn't super happy with the way it went on in the first coat, so I went back to give it some coverage in spots that I missed, and then I'm going in with a second coat, and again, this is not overly thick, and it also didn't fully cover once it dried down. I mean, I probably should have gone and done 3 coats for all of my swatches, but I also just hate when creams start looking really thick, so I'm being a bit of a hard ass right now, but if I'm being honest, I do expect creams to be opaque after 2 coats, and I was hoping to see that here, but they were livable. But I'm actually super picky, and I wouldn't be happy wearing these polishes out and about if they were as is here in my swatches. So I would either do 3 coats or just go with another polish instead. So here, after top coat, you can see, hopefully, this is not an Emperor's Clothes situation, and you can see what I mean about some darker spots on my nails where it didn't fully cover. And last but not least, we have Serial Killer, which I love. I also really love purple polishes, and I love lilac shades, lavender shades, these sort of pastel shades. And this is not the last one in the collection. Actually, there's another one after this, but this one I got excited about because it's called Serial Killer, and I love dry cereals, so this polish is just got a great name in my opinion. And I did really like the color of this one. It's not super unique, as you're going to see, but I just am a sucker for these shades. And once again, I went in with 1 coat, and then with my second coat, I went in, and I thought that this one had one of the better formulas out of all the polishes that I've swatched. I would say Serial Killer and the next polish you're going to see, the blue, had the best formulas out of the 6 polishes. I also apologize if my voice is a little strange. I am contending with an illness, and my voice is kind of giving out on me. So this one, as you can see, had pretty good coverage in 2, and once I applied the top coat, it covered up any of the mistakes. I did find that Serial Killer did a pretty good job of self-leveling, and as you can see, there really aren't any of those dark spots that you could see in my other swatches. So I was happy with the performance of this one, and I was happy with the color of it and the name of it. So Serial Killer is definitely one of the polishes I would recommend out of this collection. And now, last but actually least, we have Too Good to Be Blue. And this one is a really beautiful, bright, baby blue, kind of robin's egg, Tiffany blue shade, sort of. This one was really beautiful, and I also found the application with this one to be easier than the other one. So the purple and the blue definitely had the best formulas in my opinion and experience. Sorry, I just had a choking fit. And as you can see, this one also does a pretty good job of self-leveling and getting mostly full opacity in 2 coats. If I was being super, super picky, I might say that there are a few dark spots, at least on my index finger. But again, these I thought were taken care of with the top coat. As you can see now, I'm applying, it kind of just helps to gloss everything over and cover up any of those imperfections. And I was just happy with this one, and I also liked how bright the shade of blue was. It was also relatively unique in my collection, so I'm sure there might be a dupe for it, but I couldn't find one in my collection, and with the good formula that it has, I would recommend this one as well. And now we're going to do some comparisons. So I wanted to show myself applying them all around the same time so you could actually see them happening in real time and see how they perform. So a lot of the creams I have are from Cirque, which is another sort of boutique brand. They're probably more expensive than the Holo Tacos. But as you can see, just based on the Cirque compared to the Holo Taco already, the Cirque one has self-leveled a little bit better than the Holo Taco. And I just applied the Dimension nails on my ring finger, and that one self-leveled almost completely. That's actually also my ridgiest nail, so it's the hardest one to get right. But aside from that ridge going down the middle of my nail vertically, it kind of covered fully in 1 coat. So that's the second coat I've applied of the Holo Taco Serial Killer on my index finger, and it does go on nicely. I said that was one of my favorites in terms of its performance in the collection. And similarly, the Cirque colors, totally opaque on that second coat. And if it weren't for the ridge on my ring finger, I would say the Dimension nails was opaque in 1 coat. And on my pinky, I have Glisten and Glow, which also covered completely in 2 coats. And the Glisten and Glow out of all 3 of those had the sort of crelliest formula, if that makes any sense. The other ones are more white based. And now we're moving on to Pinky Swear. So I'm starting with that on my index finger, and on my middle finger I have Dimension Nails Piglet, which is probably my favorite baby pink ever. It's also a bit brighter and more white to its base than the Holo Taco. And on my ring and pinky I'm using Kokie Cosmetics, and this one, they're similar, both of them in color to the Holo Taco, but not exactly. But as you can see, their formula is way worse than the Holo Taco. So the Holo Taco might not be the best in my opinion, but it's definitely better than some other brands that I have tried. So baby pinks are notoriously difficult, and as you can see, the Dimension nails, I would say, covered completely in two. There's not the dark spot that I'm seeing towards the tip of my nail with the Holo Taco. And unfortunately, the two Kokie Cosmetics are just a bit of a mess. And I know that I have a really ridgy ring finger, but you can see on my pinky as well that it's going to need a third coat. So here I actually applied a third coat of the Holo Taco, and there's pretty much no dark spots left on the nail now that I've applied the third coat. So if you're curious how it looks in 3, that's what you're going to get. And as you can see with the Kokie Cosmetics, they're still not totally covering the dark spot, at least on my ring finger, in 3 coats. But the pinky, which is actually their green line, performs better than their regular line in my opinion. And here we have some blues for comparison. This one is just a really unique blue overall, and I didn't have anything that was exactly matching it. So again, I'm using Dimension Nails. To me, Dimension Nails is the absolutely best when it comes to creams. They can't be beat in my opinion. And as you can see, it's practically opaque in 1 coat. But I'm going to go in with a second coat so you can see. And again, I thought that the Too Good to Be Blue from Holo Taco actually had a pretty good formula. So I would say it's opaque in 2. And I went in with a second coat of the Dimension Nails. And on my ring finger, I have a Glisten and Glow, which is just a lot whiter than both of them, but it also has a really good formula. It's also another one of my favorite formulas. It self-levels really well. If you can see here, when it's dried down, it's totally opaque. And we're moving on to Rest in Peach, which I had 2 polishes that I thought were similar, but it turns out the Cert Colors was a lot darker than the Holo Taco, but I just thought it'd be interesting to compare it, at least formula-wise. And hopefully everybody can see what I mean. I'm hoping my swatches do the work of showing application, but I thought that the Cert Colors did a pretty good job of self-leveling in comparison to the Holo Taco. And the Glisten and Glow, obviously that ridgy finger is kind of tough. I'm giving it a hard job, but I thought that relatively speaking, all of these performed pretty similarly. Again, light shades like this are notoriously difficult to get right in terms of formulation, but I do think that the Holo Taco performed well in comparison. And last but not least, we've got Banana Medicine. I forgot to include myself painting the Holo Taco on, and I didn't have any yellows in my collection that were comparable, at least nothing that's currently available. So in terms of comparing the Holo Taco from the Cert Colors, they're both pretty much the same. Light yellows are notoriously difficult to do well, so maybe I was being a little harsh on the Holo Taco initially, but in terms of a light pastel yellow, it's probably not going to get any better than this. And yeah, I reversed some of my judgment on the Holo Taco yellow. It did pretty good in 2 coats.
So at the end of the day, is this new set of pastel creams from Holo Taco my favorite? I don't think so, but they're good. And if you like the brand, then definitely pick them up. You'll probably love them. I'm curious to hear what everybody thinks in the comments. I'm also curious if you have a favorite brand for pastel colors like this. Let me know, and I guess that's it for me. So I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye!